You are watching No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and these are my views and opinions. Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and you know what is driving me crazy? I'll tell you. The media continues to be in the tank for Joe Biden on the eve of the election and on the closer eve of tonight's presidential debate. And we'll talk about the presidential debate in a second, but the media is working overtime. We'll tell you about what Time Magazine is doing. We will tell you about what is going on with that Borat movie and so on. So first, tonight's big debate. What will happen? Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that most people are already decided. I mean, do you know anybody who isn't decided yet? I don't. So, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I do think the president, if he's crazy, he won't do this. But he's not crazy. He's crazy like a fox. He will hit on those Hunter Biden emails. You know the story that all the tech giants have been working overtime to suppress? You know the story that raises very serious questions about a candidate for the presidency of the United States, Joe Biden, who compromised himself when he was vice president in order to make his kid mega bucks? Who denies that he talked with his son about this when the emails show otherwise, who denies that he met with any executives of Burisma when in fact the top executive of Burisma sent a thank you note to Hunter Biden. If Trump is crazy, he'll forget about those things. If he's smart, if he's crazy like a fox, he will raise that issue. And he'll also bring to the forefront the criminal looting and craziness going on all over the country, even to date. Yes, last night there were protests and riots all over the country, especially in Seattle, especially in Oregon, in Portland, and especially in Wisconsin, and New York, but they're not telling you about it. Why? Because those stories are bad for Joe Biden. People want a law and order president when they see these kinds of things. They want to take that off the forefront. But if President Trump is smart, he will raise those issues. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, he should not raise Hunter Biden's emails with Burisma. He should not raise Hunter Biden's billions of dollars of dealings with China because they're going to raise the issue of Trump's secret Chinese bank account. I don't care. And he shouldn't care either. As I told you yesterday, and as he would respond, I was running a business. I had a business that was doing business in China. We were trying to open licensed hotels in China. And we worked on that for 3 years. It didn't come to fruition. But you know what happened when we were there? We had taxes to pay. I can't help it if the Chinese government has stricter tax laws than the United States, which has a zillion loopholes for rich people to exploit. That's what we need to fix, Joe. You and your friends, you were in Washington for 40 years. These are the kinds of tax laws you crafted. If I were coaching the president, that's what I would say. And by the way, now it has come out. I've never, by the way, seen the media work overtime to remain silent and ignore a big story, which these Hunter Biden emails are. I mean, do you remember this time around 4 years ago when the media was working overtime to broadcast the Access Hollywood tape of the president talking about what they will let you do if you're a celebrity? Do you remember that? You could not turn on the TV. You could not open a newspaper. You could not go to a news website without reading about, hearing about, and hearing the audio of this video. So on the other side of the coin, when there's this big story that is far more troubling than an Access Hollywood tape, they are working overtime to silence it. And here's the latest that's going on with that. Hunter Biden's laptop is linked to a money laundering probe that the FBI is involved in. And as we discussed on the show yesterday, there is some kind of subpoena, some kind of federal subpoena that is specifying money laundering that was seeking the laptop. And according to many media stories that I read today, it appears the FBI is in possession of that laptop. So they can attack Rudy Giuliani as the messenger all they want, but the FBI has this laptop. And we'll talk about Rudy Giuliani in a second. The FBI has had many interactions with John Paul Mac Isaac, the owner of the Mac shop, who reported the laptop's contents to authorities. And they're keeping mum. They won't talk about this. Well, why aren't they talking about it? Because you know it's a legit investigation, and the FBI never talks about open investigations. If there was no investigation, they have often said, we're not conducting such an investigation. But when they have open investigations, they always say the FBI does not comment on open investigations, on active investigations. This is why we're not hearing about this. The FBI won't talk about it. The mainstream media pretends it's the opposite of the Access Hollywood video, and frankly, it's the opposite in a different way. The Access Hollywood tape had really no bearing on how President Trump would conduct himself as president. These emails have a huge bearing on how Joe Biden will conduct himself as president. I mean, if you liked Roger Clinton, if you liked Hugh Rodham, if you liked Billy Carter, you will love Hunter Biden. And that is not a good thing for America, not even close. Now, today, the Democrats boycotted the Judicial Committee's vote on Amy Coney Barrett. The Democrats acted immaturely. They boycotted because they can't get their way. Wah, wah. So what did they do? Before they boycotted, they put giant photos of people that will allegedly lose their health care if Amy Coney Barrett votes to strike down Obamacare. They put these people's pictures in their chairs, which is absurd because we don't know how she's going to vote, number one. Number two, we don't know that these people are going to lose health care. They will get on Medicare or Medicaid if they lose Obamacare. And number 3 or 4, I forget which number we're on, if Obamacare was so perfect, why are so many people desperate to have health care right now? It has nothing to do with President Trump's administration striking down the individual mandate and courts confirming that. Obamacare still exists. It was supposed to solve everything. Remember, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Lie number 1. If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan. Lie number 2. These people were lying to you, and they're lying about those people whose pictures they have up on their seats. But anyway, fine. Who needs them at this hearing? They were all going to vote against her anyway. So you know what happened? There was a 12-0 vote in favor of reporting out her nomination to the full Senate body. And next week, early next week, they're going to confirm her to the Supreme Court. And if we have time, we will try and get into this a little later in the show, why this is so important. And this is going to come up tonight. And I'll tell you what's going to come up tonight. The fact that Joe Biden would not answer the question about court packing. He would not answer it. Apparently, he's finally answered it for 60 minutes. And we will get into that after the break. But he's finally answered it, and it's another non-answer. He will not say, I oppose court packing or I'm for court packing. He keeps saying other things. And we'll get into it. He won't answer it. President Trump should say, why don't you answer this? What are you afraid of? Why are you hiding from the American people, first in your basement and now on this question? The majority of the American people now in recent polls say that Amy Coney Barrett should be confirmed. And President Trump should mention that tonight. Now, we are almost at the break, but I just want to mention this. Why is there even a debate tonight? We know that over 40 million Americans now have voted. There are very few Americans that are undecided. Do you know anybody who's undecided? Because I don't. I don't know a single person who's saying, well, maybe Trump, but maybe Obama. Nobody is on that fence. Very few people. And people who are on that fence, I have to wonder about their A, sanity, and B, what's in there. They probably don't have a lot of gray matter up there. I'm just saying, because most people have their minds made up. So why is there this debate? And I'll tell you why after these messages. That and more on Back After This.
As the mayor of Bismarck, I invite you to join together today and stand united in the fight to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Case counts are steadily on the rise in the Bismarck-Mandan metro area, so please do your part. Protect yourself and others by wearing a mask when you're not at home. During the pandemic response, scientists have determined wearing a mask is a benefit to you and to those around you. This help keeps others from getting sick and may lessen the severity of illness if you are infected with COVID-19. We're all in this together. So let's get kids back to school, preserve our local economy, and keep our community strong. Let's show everyone how we come together to keep Bismarck the safe, resilient community we know and love. For more information, visit health.nd.gov/coronavirus. That's health.nd.gov/coronavirus.
Beck Communications is honored to be recently recognized with 3 Broadband Now awards. Beck Communications Cooperative was awarded in the categories of Top Internet Speeds Nationwide, Top 3 Fastest Internet Providers in North Dakota, and North Dakota's #1 fastest fiber provider. It's only through the support of our members and customers that Beck Fiber delivers award-winning speeds and service. Thank you, Beck Communications Cooperative members and customers, for your years of continued support.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Is your business phone system outdated and expensive to maintain? Most large VoIP companies leave you on hold or struggling through online support and training for your employees. With Beck Connect, you always have fast, friendly, local support. Familiar faces with the know-how to keep you connected. Take advantage of the newest technology in voice calling, video conferencing, and virtual meeting rooms. Beck Connect gives you all the features you need with no upfront investment and no obsolete hardware or software ever again. Simplify your communications. Choose local. Choose Beck Connect.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, I asked you, why are we having this debate? Most people are already decided. 40 million plus people have already voted. Is there anybody still undecided? I said that most people who are undecided, there's something wrong. They probably shouldn't be voting if they don't know by now. But there is one small group that I think is relevant, and we are going to show you an ad on tomorrow's show regarding them, an ad I thought the Trump campaign should have made a long time ago. And that is these people who personally find the president's behavior distasteful. They don't like his tweets. They don't like what he says or how he behaves. They don't like him personally, but they love his policies. And they are conservatives, or they tend to be more towards the Republican side of things. They don't want Joe Biden or AOC or a Green New Deal, but they just can't bring themselves to vote for the president because they don't like him. And because they don't like these far-left liberal policies of Joe Biden, they just can't bring themselves to vote for him. That's who tonight's debate is for. It's a very, very small audience. The rest of us, we're just there to get out our popcorn, watch, and be entertained. It's entertainment for the rest of us. And speaking of entertainment, or rather non-entertainment, there's 60 Minutes. So President Trump, as you know, and we talked about this yesterday, he did this interview with Leslie Stahl for Sunday's episode of 60 Minutes. Joe Biden was interviewed by Norah O'Donnell, and both vice presidential candidates were interviewed. This is all going to air on Sunday. The president walked out after 45 minutes, which is a very long time for such a short segment, because he felt the questions were unfair. And he said he was going to release the video ahead of time. So here's some of the video. Check this out.
Are you ready for some tough questions?
You're gonna be fair.
I'm gonna be fair.
Just be fair.
But last time, I remember you saying to me, bring it on, bring it on.
No, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for fairness, that's all.
You're gonna get fairness. But you're okay with some tough questions.
No, I'm not.
You're not okay with tough
I want
questions?
to be fair. You don't ask Biden tough questions.
Me?
Huh?
I don't even.
It's terrible.
I
It's
only
terrible.
review.
So he told her, just be fair. She said, are you ready for tough questions? And he said, just be fair. That's all he's ever wanted, but she is not fair. She is in the tank for the liberals. I want you to watch this interview she gave to somebody. Check this out. She gave it to, I think, Judy Woodruff of PBS.
Before the interview, I met with him in Trump Tower. And he really is the same off camera that he is on camera, exactly the same. And at one point, he started to attack the press. And it's just me and my boss and him. He has a huge office. And he's attacking the press. And there were no cameras, there was nothing going on. And I said, you know, that is getting tired. Why are you doing this? You're doing it over and over, and it's boring, and it's time to end that. You know, you've won the nomination. And why do you keep hammering at this? And he said, you know why I do it? I do it to discredit you all and demean you all, so when you write negative stories about me, no one will believe you. He said that. So put that in your head for a minute.
Well, first of all, we don't know if she's telling the truth, if he actually said that. But if he did, more power to him, because we know that these people in the mainstream media lie. We know that they give one-sided interviews, where the interview with the president, I guarantee you, is much tougher than the interview with Joe Biden. That's just a fact. And Republicans, conservatives are prepared for that. They know that. They know, we know, we're not going to get fair interviews. That said, we can fight back. We don't have to just sit there and take it and say, oh, it's not going to be fair, so we'll just let it go. We'll just let them be not fair. We'll just let them, you know, be one-sided and work overtime for the other side and play the other side's press secretary. That's not how you do it. You fight back, and he's fighting back. And you know what? If he does something to discredit them, fine. They deserve it. They have discredited themselves, and then they pretend that they're impartial, objective journalists when they aren't. And she, Leslie Stahl, certainly is not. She's in the tank for him. So related to the 60 Minutes interview, Norah O'Donnell, as I mentioned, the anchor of CBS's evening news broadcast, she did the Biden interview. She claims that she really put Joe Biden on the spot and she got an answer about court packing, but she really didn't. What he told her was that he is going to set up a committee if he's elected, and he's going to open up every condition on the Supreme Court, not just how many justices there are, but how long they serve. Maybe there should be term limits. I do support term limits, by the way, for Supreme Court justices. I don't like that they're on there for life and they do a lot of these things. But he said he's going to open up everything about the Supreme Court. We don't want that. You want people like AOC and Bernie opening up everything on the Supreme Court and getting to control the agenda of what's going to happen to it. And that's why Senator Ted Cruz said that he thought that Joe Biden's comments were chilling. They are chilling. That should scare everybody, because the Supreme Court makes a lot of decisions that affect our way of life. That could change what goes on in America, from the border to other national security issues, to taking home your paycheck, to your family life. These are all things that will affect you. Many of their decisions do that. So he did not answer the question. He said he'd set up a committee, which is what anybody who doesn't want to answer a question says they're going to do in a bureaucracy. Now, so we're almost at the break, but I want you to hear about this movie Borat. You've probably seen these stories that the sequel to Borat, and I have seen it, it's coming out tomorrow on Amazon Prime. And since I'm a movie critic, they sent me the link ahead of time. It's coming out tomorrow. You've probably seen the clips and the pictures of Rudy Giuliani, and allegedly he has his hand down his pants in a hotel room with a young actress who's pretending to be Borat's daughter. She's playing Borat's daughter in the movie. Well, in fact, that's not what goes on. I mean, that picture looks really bad. It looks very damning. But he's not doing what they say. I watched it. Now, he does go into a hotel room with the woman with alcohol, and they help each other off of their microphones. And when she does that, she pulls his shirt out of his pants. And he does put it back in. And that's what happened. Excuse me. That's what happens. He is not pleasuring himself or anything that's been advertised. Now, he's been criticized by Colbert, Stephen Colbert, and many of the others, and mocked for going into a hotel room with this young woman. Well, Rudy Giuliani is single. He is divorced. Now, yes, he's 76 years old, and this woman is 24 years old. That's creepy, but there's nothing illegal about it. She is flirting with him, and so is he. He's flirting right back with her. This is a total setup. And if you read his story about it, he says that he prayed with her because she was nervous, and she does. She says, I'm nervous. This is my first interview. She pretends to be from a conservative website. I guarantee you they probably set up a fake website and did all the things to fool the Giuliani people into agreeing to this interview. Still, he should not have gone into a hotel room with her, but still, he knows he's being filmed. It's very clear there's a camera that's not a hidden camera. He knows he's being followed by a camera out in the open. And she was nervous in the interview. She says it's her first time interviewing anybody in front of the camera. And he tries to reassure her. And then he said that she said something like, do you want a massage? And that's when he left and he knew something was wrong. Well, yeah, he did lay down on the bed. He did do that to put his shirt back in. I don't know what else would have happened if the Borat character didn't run back in. But we all know what Borat is about. This guy, Sacha Baron Cohen, is a far, far leftist. He sets up conservatives. He sets up innocent, charitable, generous American people who help him, who believe he's some real character. And then he takes advantage of them on film and mocks them and ridicules them for being good Americans. He tries to set up people who are Republican, who are conservative. That's what he does. He doesn't do this to Joe Biden. So Sacha Baron Cohen's movie comes out tomorrow. You will hear my full review. But what you need to know about this actress, Maria Bakalova, who set up Rudy Giuliani, is that she is a Black Lives Matter supporter. She has BLM stuff on her social media site. And we will talk more about that tomorrow in the movie reviews. When we come back, we will talk about what is going on in North Dakota, and also Derek Chauvin, the Minneapolis, Minnesota police officer. The latest on that after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
I just went in for a regular mammogram and I found out that I had a little tumor.
Through the exam and the biopsy, it was determined that I had cancer.
I got a call from one of my doctors that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
After 5 years, they found a local reoccurrence.
The first thing you hear when you're told you have a cancer, it's a little daunting because you don't know where to go with it.
Since 1999, in a partnership between CHI St. Alexius Health and Sanford Health Bismarck, the Bismarck Cancer Center has provided the most advanced radiation therapies and holistic support services for cancer patients and their loved ones for 20 years.
I've been at the Bismarck Cancer Center since it started. I actually was in the basement of Med Center 1 before, when we had old machines and old equipment. And thankfully, the two hospitals at the time, St. Alexis and Med Center 1, joined forces to create the Bismarck Cancer Center.
I walk in the door, I get nothing but hugs, and I was marveled at them. I mean, I thought it was the best place in the world.
The staff is unbelievably compassionate, and they explain everything to you.
Everybody's genuinely concerned about your well-being, and the level of care is just top-notch. The Cancer Center just does such an amazing job of helping people.
To me and my family, the Cancer Center means life. It's given me the ability to live out my life with my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Because of them, I'm 2 years out. get to move on with my life, make a difference now for other people.
I would recommend this center because the minute you walk through that door, they've got your back.
This center means so much to me and to the people that are in this building, and we just want to keep giving it back to the community and providing for them what they need.
I'm Katie. I've been cancer-free for 2 years.
I'm Steve, and I've been cancer-free for 4 years.
I've been cancer-free for 10 years.
10 years.
11 years.
15 years.
My name is Lainey, and I've been cancer-free for 18 years.
Bismarck Cancer Center, your partner against cancer for 20 years.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. As you may have heard, the Minneapolis authorities and the state of Minnesota exceeded their authority and they overcharged police officer Derek Chauvin. We knew that they overcharged him when they took the case from the Hennepin County prosecutors, and then they said they were still working with the Hennepin County prosecutor, but they had the Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, who, by the way, is a black militant. He is an activist, was an activist with the Nation of Islam. He was Louis Farrakhan's right-hand man at the Million Man March, which we talked about, I think, last week or earlier in the week, had its 25th anniversary. He is an activist, and he overcharged Derek Chauvin. It was political, and a judge saw that, and the judge dismissed the overcharges. So the judge dismissed the third-degree murder charge against Derek Chauvin, and he remains charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter. Now, let me just tell you, third-degree murder it requires an intent to do something dangerous and depraved that evinces death. Even though the death was unintentional, you have to do something depraved and dangerous on purpose. Whereas second-degree manslaughter is unintentional and the penalties are less, the sentence is less, it's a much lesser form of killing. And I think it's more appropriate. The other thing that's interesting in this case, and as you may know, I'm an attorney. I do a lot of criminal defense work. The judge in the case also said that they're going to be allowed, the police officers, attorneys are going to be allowed to introduce a video of George Floyd in a May 2019 encounter with police, where he did the same thing. He didn't listen to police. He was out of control. And he only finally got back in control, when he swallowed pills. Probably some kind of downers, some kind of drugs. And I'll bet you he did not have a legal prescription for those. He was handcuffed and placed in the police car peacefully. So I think that video is probably going to be instructive. We know this man was a drug addict. We know he had heart disease. We know that on the day in question, he had done crack. We know that on the day in question, he had ingested fentanyl, the drug that killed Michael Jackson. So we know that he had a lot going on there. And I think we're going to see some interesting results in this trial. The problem is, I don't think he'll get a fair trial because they won't move it out of Minneapolis. And there is not a juror alive who is going to hold out for him, I don't believe, and then be terrorized for the rest of their lives, because those jurors, if they have any courage and they hold out for him, they are going to have to go enter the witness protection program. For sure they will have to. And I'm not saying that I support putting a knee on somebody's neck. I don't. There's not anybody in law enforcement or any reasonable person that defends Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck. The question is, did that knee on his neck cause his death, or did all of these other things, all the drugs in his system and his health condition cause it. And they may have. And that's the problem with this case. We will probably never know what actually caused his death, but it's probably not the knee. The knee was probably just adding insult to injury. So Derek Chauvin is out of the state. He's apparently has to get a cell phone and register that with the court. But I think so far, so good. His attorneys are doing a great job. And same with the other police officers. This case was overcharged, and I just don't think it's reasonable what happened. Now, back to the election. So you probably heard this story. Last night it broke when the Director of National Intelligence, John Radcliffe, he works for President Trump. He was appointed by President Trump, but he's impartial. He is not in the tank for Trump. He's the one that said, as we told you yesterday, that that laptop is not fake, that the emails are not fake. And when somebody in that position says that, they're real. Even though the tech giants and the media are still claiming that they're fake. He said that about Hunter Biden. Now he said that other emails are fake. What are these emails? Well, the government of Iran, and we told you on this show that it's not just the Russians interfering with the election. Yes, the Russians support President Trump, but they also want to sow chaos. It's Iran and China who are totally for Joe Biden. They both want Joe Biden to win. They are interfering in our election heavily. There's no investigation into that by Congress. No impeachments of anybody over that. There is no spending of millions of taxpayers' dollars money to investigate that. Nope. And the media don't care. But John Radcliffe said that Iran is sending these spoof emails, meaning that they pretend to be somebody they're not, and they're pretending to be the Proud Boys. So you know the Proud Boys was this group that President Trump was accused of supporting. He said he didn't know who they were. He did condemn them. But it was mentioned at the first debate. And the Proud Boys, it's in their name, it's in the guise of them, that these emails are being sent out to Democrat voters. And the reason they're sending them is to make these voters angry at Republicans. It's to remind them that the president allegedly supports Proud Boys. It's to make these Democrats angry and have them vote, be more intent on voting. So, and to sow unrest and anger. They are working against the Trump campaign. The media doesn't seem to care about that, but that's Iran. Nobody cares because it's not Russia and it's not Trump. Now, one last thing that is questionable, and the Republicans are investigating this, is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is using Amtrak, and apparently he's been using it a lot for his campaign. Congress wants to know, is this an illegal use of Amtrak? Because can Joe Biden show that his campaign paid to charter the trains as his campaign claims? And did the trains disrupt any of Amtrak's services? Because allegedly they are disrupting Amtrak for the Joe Biden campaign. And we can't have that. Taxpayers should not be paying for that. When we come back, we will talk about a state that added North Dakota to its quarantine list. Can you believe this? And where they're considering having mask mandates in North Dakota. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Bismarck Central, 4800.
4800, go ahead.
Requesting social services on-call team.
Stand by. 4800 social services requesting additional information.
You can advise social services that we have an 18-month-old female who was in a residence with a mother, now being transported to medical care for overdose.
Trusting your digital life to faceless tech giants can be risky. Will they keep your family and business information truly safe from prying eyes? If you subscribe to local Beck Lightband internet service, you already have Beck Cloud Backup. Beck Cloud Backup is the safest, most private cloud storage for all your family memories, schoolwork, and business documents. Call 701-475-2361 to start using your free space on Beck Cloud Backup today.
You just might find the home of your dreams this weekend by watching the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes Sundays at 6 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 on Beck, featuring properties from Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and surrounding areas. The Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes presents desirable properties that are for sale, lets you meet your Alliance realtors, and provides critical insights into local happenings from community and business leaders. Join us this Sunday evening at 6 or Wednesday at 7 for the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
As the mayor of Bismarck, I invite you to join together to get our kids back to school, preserve our local economy, and keep Bismarck safe, strong, and resilient. A community task force has been launched to slow the spread of COVID-19 in our community. We're all in this together. Protect yourself and others by doing your part. Wear a mask when you're out and about, and slow the spread of COVID-19. For more information, visit health.nd.gov/coronavirus.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. Now, you're not going to believe this. North Dakota has made a quarantine list for a state. And guess what state it is? Kansas. So, Kansas Department of Health and Environment has added North Dakota to its travel quarantine list. It also includes the country of Andorra, this tiny country in Europe. You probably learned about Andorra when you were in high school. Yes, Andorra and North Dakota are on this list. So visitors to Kansas who have traveled to or from North Dakota or Andorra after October 21st need to quarantine in Kansas for 14 days. And this is just absurd. The majority of North Dakotans do not have COVID. Got that, Kansas? By the way, Kansas has more cases of COVID than North Dakota does. Many more. They have many more deaths. So maybe North Dakota should make this reciprocal. Now, North Dakota is not going to do that because North Dakota cares about business. It cares about its citizens' lives and ability to make a living. And the state is not going to lock out other Americans from other states. I don't even think this is constitutional. I think that while courts might uphold it, I think that it really goes against your right, your freedom of movement, and your freedom to go move from in and between states. So I don't know that this would hold up, and other governors have threatened to sue other states. Remember, we talked about the dueling between New York and New Jersey and Rhode Island, all of whom have quarantined one another at one time or another since the whole COVID fiasco has taken place in the United States. So if you go to Kansas, you're going to have to sit there for 14 days. You can't leave your house, can't leave your hotel room. Good luck with that, Kansas. You're locking out North Dakotans. They'll go spend their money somewhere else. Same with Andorrans. Although I would imagine there are very few Andorrans that go to Kansas. Have you ever met anyone from Andorra? Me neither. Me neither. All right, now, speaking of COVID and responses, within North Dakota, we've talked about a number of cities that have either decided to have mask mandates, like the mayor of Fargo did through his emergency powers, or who have said, no, we're not going to have a mask mandate, we're just going to encourage you to have one. Now, one city that's trying to have it both ways is West Fargo. So West Fargo said that they're not going to have a mask mandate. Instead, they're calling it a mask strategy. right, so what's the difference between a mask mandate and a mask strategy? Well, the mask strategy requires the people in West Fargo to wear masks indoors and outdoors when social distancing is impossible. That's a mandate. That is not a strategy. If somebody comes into a restaurant and they see people less than 6 feet apart for a period of more than 15 minutes, or even for less than 15 minutes, let's say somebody comes in there from the city of West Fargo, they see people not social distancing, they have to wear masks. That's called a mandate. That is not a strategy. A strategy is, oh, I'm going to recommend this, I'm going to heavily encourage it. A mandate is, if you don't do it, you're going to get in trouble. And I think a mandate, when you tell people that they have to wear a mask when they're inside a bar or a restaurant, that's a killer strategy. That's not a strategy, it's a mandate. It's a killer strategy. And you know what it kills? It kills people's jobs and it kills businesses. Not very good. And following on the heels of West Fargo and Minot and other cities continuing to discuss and consider wearing masks, Bismarck is discussing at Wednesday's special City of Bismarck Board of Health meeting with city commissioners the possibility of a mask mandate. It was brought up yesterday, that was yesterday, Wednesday, and they're going to discuss it again on October 27th, so next week. Apparently there's a 5% positivity rate goal for Burleigh County, and if that's reached, they'll get rid of considering the mask mandate, but if it's not reached, they will consider it. They're looking at the positivity goal, and they're also going to look at the venue size for this meeting. They're expecting a lot of people. I hope they don't have a mask mandate. Listen, it has to be about freedom. If people are forced to wear masks, they're going to rebel, especially in a place like North Dakota where people are rugged individualists. They think for themselves. They pull themselves up by the bootstraps. People, you don't want to be told you must do this. You must wear these masks. They want to see the science. They want to see the proof that it makes the rates go down. And we've seen in many of these states it actually does not go down. We've seen that. We saw that in New York. We saw that in New York City. We saw that in the entire state of New York. We see it in California. We see it in Wisconsin. We see it in New Zealand, in Israel, throughout Europe, in Spain, in Italy, in Canada. These people have very strict mask mandates. Again, it's not going down. It's going up. And speaking of that, contact tracing. We've talked a lot about this on this show because I loathe the term contact tracing. What it really should be called is Big Brother nosiness. It's government butting into your life. They are not going to know who you were with when you got COVID and from whom you got it. It's just not possible. As I said yesterday, it is an art. It is not a science. Somebody might get COVID from some entirely different meeting or occurrence or get together, and yet the contact tracers will see, oh, 3 people got COVID from this meeting of 7 people or 10 people, so therefore this is a super spreader event. That's what they did with the Trump White House, with the Amy Coney Barrett announcement event at the White House. They said, oh, this is a super spreader event. We don't know if the people there that got COVID got it from that event. They might have gotten it elsewhere. Contact tracers are not the end-all be-all. And we talked about this yesterday. North Dakota does not have enough contact tracers. And there are too many positive tests. And so they cannot keep up. They're just telling people, if you have it, you need to contact people with whom you were in contact and tell them, look, I have this. Maybe you should think about quarantining, or maybe you should think about wearing a mask when you're around others. That's the way to do it. Not this Big Brother stuff of, where were you on such and such a day? Who was there? Dun, dun, dun. Like, some kind of murder mystery. That's not how you do it. So a woman named Katerina Domitrovich, she has been a contact tracer both for University of North Dakota and the North Dakota Department of Health since the beginning of the pandemic. And she agrees with this new policy. She said contact tracing has been crazy. And She said it's very hard to figure out when symptoms started, if people were symptomatic or if they're asymptomatic. And until we're caught up on all these cases, until we're seeing the numbers go back down, until we have the capacity to deal with it, we are stepping away. So what's the point of doing it ever? If you can't do it when you have a lot of cases, why do you need to do it when you have a few cases? It's just not accurate. It does not work. When we come back, we will talk some more North Dakota stories. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
You're looking for secure, private cloud storage, but who can you trust? Big tech companies don't always keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business information away from prying eyes. Your local Beck Lightband Internet Services comes with 50 gigs of Beck Cloud Backup, free. Hometown service with top-tier security to keep your data truly safe and private. Get your 50 gigs free today. Call 701-475-2361 and ask about Beck Cloud Backup.
My name is Rich Shook, and I lost my best friend in a grain bin accident.
Some of the emotional scars that when these incidences happen just resonates throughout the community like dropping a rock in a pond. I guess I'll never forget. At least the last moments we shared. That's why I think this is so important to get out there to people, is people think that it can't happen to you, and it can. The time it would take you to just kiss a loved one and your life is over. I believe it's unacceptable.
This message provided by North Dakota Farmers Union.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we were talking about all the COVID information and all the COVID news stories in North Dakota. But this is a great story because I think that there is way too much money in North Dakota, in other states, that is going solely towards the coronavirus. When people, to little things like, we talked about this $1.8 million mask encouragement campaign, I guess you would call it, in that is going to be in the state of North Dakota, that a Bismarck ad agency got. You know what, I'm all for business and Bismarck getting money from the federal government. That's great, but somebody's going to have to pay for that later on, number one. And number two, wouldn't that money be better spent not telling people to wear masks after 7 months of this, when people know what they're going to do, know what's best for them, and instead putting that money towards something else? Well, now the state of North Dakota is trying to do that. So the state is trying to use $16 million of the COVID money that the federal government gave it and put it towards fracking. I'm all for that because you know what? The more fracking that we do, and North Dakota has a history of being involved in the fracking industry, the more money and jobs there are for North Dakotans. It only builds upon itself. This is a huge industry. Yes, it does kind of cannibalize and compete with two other industries in North Dakota, which is number one, the oil industry, which, you know, as we know, we are the second largest producer of oil behind Texas. More oil comes from North Dakota than many countries on this earth. Also, we are involved in the coal industry. So the more fracking we do, the more we are competing with ourselves. So on the one hand, it may be cannibalizing itself. On the other hand, North Dakota already is in the fracking industry. We're already involved in that, and there is nothing wrong with bolstering it. I just don't like government getting involved in picking winners and losers. Maybe that money should be equally spread around in the different energy sources, of which North Dakota is a major source. So $16 million, I do think it would be much better spent on building jobs, whether it's in fracking or anything else, than going to some kind of COVID campaigns of one sort or another. We don't need it for that. We need it for jobs, rebuilding our economy. And even though our economy wasn't shut down to the extent that many other states were, North Dakota was shut down a little bit. You know what? Every economy was shut down. When things shut down in one part of the country, everybody is affected. So there's that. And then, speaking of money from the federal government, this goes to something that I keep talking about on this show, and it's a major principle for me, and that is the sovereignty of the native tribes. So, as I always say, the native tribes, they want to be treated as sovereign nations, but they're not so sovereign when it's convenient for them. So they have their own tribal police, their own tribal courts, they have their own borders. The federal agents cannot come in there. Police from other cities, from American cities, cannot come in there. They are separate countries. And they have their own license plates and so on. But yet, they want money from the federal government. They've gotten billions just for COVID. I mean, there was one tribe that got $1.8 billion in COVID money. And then they were complaining that there were too many strings attached. So now there is the Sustaining Native American Culture Goal, and the Native American Development Center got a federal grant. So they got a federal grant, and it sustains, listen, I think this is an important part of American history, Native American culture, and all they got was I mean, it is a lot of money, $300,000 a year for the next 3 years. So that's almost $1 million. $1 million, $900,000 is a drop in the bucket for the federal government, but that's the problem. There's a drop here, there's a drop there, and soon you've got an entire river of our money going to these things. I do think this is a worthy cause to remember the history of the native tribes, but they're a different country. They are sovereign nations. Several of them are different nations. Why can't they raise their own money? Why do they have to get it from the American taxpayers? And if they are getting it from the American taxpayers, then they're not sovereign nations, and they're voting in the election. Have you heard of another country getting to vote in our elections? That doesn't happen, but we're letting a sovereign nation, many sovereign nations, do that. So again, it goes to my position. These are not sovereign nations. You cannot have it both ways. Now, you probably heard this story back in August. I think we covered it. Faith Shields Dixon. She was a Black Lives Matter organizer, and she was in Minnesota, and in Moorhead, Minnesota, in Clay County, she was stopped for speeding. She was stopped for going 14 miles an hour over the speed limit. She went 44 in a 30-mile speed limit area. So it was the 30-mile speed zone, and she claims that she got this ticket and she was stopped by the police because they're racist. Yeah, everybody's racist. First of all, when you're going 44 miles an hour, most police cannot see your pigment. They cannot see the tone of your skin. Your complexion is invisible to them. She also claimed that they saw her Black Lives Matter hat inside her car, and that they knew she was a Black Lives Matter organizer. That's stretching it a bit, and the judge ruled, nope, race was not a factor in the speeding ticket, so you lose. She challenged it, she lost. Listen, I'm glad that that happened, because these baseless cries of racism, they have to stop. They have to stop. Yes, there is racism. If you look for it, you will always find it. But if you create it out of whole cloth, you're the boy who cried wolf. And in this case, Faith Shields Dixon, she is the woman who cried wolf. It's just not the case that she was a victim of racism. Not even close. She was a victim of her heavy leaded foot. All right. So early voting started in North Dakota, and in many places there has been a very large turnout. In Cass County, and this is just on before noon on Monday when it started, they had over 2,000 people already vote. That was noon Monday, and we'll try and get some more up-to-date figures for you. That was just in Cass County. Now, here is some really, really good news, and this is what we need in North Dakota. The unemployment rate has dropped, and it's dropped precipitously, and it's dropped way more than expected. It dropped a point from 4.8% in August to 3.8% in September, and that's nearly half the national rate. So we're doing much better in North Dakota job-wise, and North Dakota's Job Service North Dakota said there were fewer than 4,432 fewer people unemployed, between the 2 months. That is fantastic news. You know what? North Dakota is coming back, and the rest of America is coming back. They just need to realize that, and I hope that the president hammers that tonight in the debate. Remember, things are not always as they seem. See you tomorrow.